Okay, we'll start with this. Well, Bob Arum had this to say. He says, Triller can buy out Teofimo Lopez's contract if they like him so much. We made $800,000 in 5 minutes. We were only going to pay what the fight was worth. We thought the fight was worth $2 million, but we stretched it a little bit, Arum told BoxingScene.com in an interview minutes after the purse bid finished on Thursday. It's terrific and wonderful that Triller put a bid the way that they did. I hope it works out for them because we made a lot of money in 5 minutes. Almost $800,000 is pretty good money. Shit, that's great, because Lopez versus Kambosos is not a premier attraction. It's not a must-see fight, like Oscar Valdez versus Miguel Berchelt. It's a fight between the guy who just beat Vasyl Lomachenko against someone who is not an elite fighter. If it was Teofimo versus Ryan Garcia, the purse bid would be a lot different. Triller is spending this money, in effect, as marketing. Their model is different, and our model is different. We do 30 events a year. If they come into the market for real boxing and create inflation with pay-per-view shows, so be it. Everybody makes good money. Arum said he had no issues with Triller taking his fighter to a different platform, especially since Top Rank will receive a handsome 20% cut, totaling $782,340 from Lopez's purse. That figure will be subtracted from Lopez's sum of $3,911,700, bringing his earnings to $3,129,360 for the fight. Kambosos will earn a maximum of $2,106,300, with a portion of his purse headed to his promoter, Lou DiBella. If Lopez were to lose to Kambosos and return back to Arum and company, his purse minimums would be greatly reduced. If he wins and comes back to us and wants the same money that he got before, the answer is no, so he sits out for a while. You can't pay what you don't have. He either fights or he doesn't fight. It's easy, said Arum. Teofimo has a contract with us. There will be regular negotiations on his fights. Maybe Triller is so happy with Lopez, they will give us a big number and buy out our contract with Lopez, which is fine also. Kavanaugh is absolutely great for boxing, said Arum. He's not doing anything bad for the sport. He's done numbers in the past with Tyson versus Jones Jr. that nobody else has done in boxing on pay-per-view. He's not a competitor, though. If he contacted me and said we'd give close to $1 million to have the Teofimo fight, don't you think I would have agreed? Triller is not competition to ESPN. They are totally different businesses. ESPN could care less that Teofimo is on Triller, so good luck to them.
And now to deal with the aftermath of all of this.
I know it's hard for the dumb dullards that make up the boxing community to wrap their minds around this, but this wasn't a loss for Bob Arum. It really wasn't a loss for anybody. It was a win. It was a win for George Kambosos Jr., who is now going to get a bigger purse. It was a win for his promoter, Lou DiBella, who is also going to get more now than he was going to get before out of his share. It's a win for Teofimo because he got the kind of money that he was looking for, and it's a win for Bob Arum and the people of their Top Rank because they got roughly $800,000 in pure profit at no expense to them.
They don't have to put anything up.
Because neither Top Rank or ESPN are flipping the bill for this fight. $6 million have been poured into the pot by Triller, and all Top Rank has to do is collect their percentage, collect their fee as Teofimo Lopez's promoter.
Understand?
In case you're not aware, he's still under contract with Top Rank.
Top Rank didn't lose any money on this thing. They're not about to.
But Triller might, and we'll get to that, we will. You see, this fight isn't actually a $6 million fight.
Not yet.
Just because Triller has it to blow, just because they're willing to stake $6 million of their own money to win the rights for Lopez versus Kambosos Jr., that doesn't necessarily make it a $6 million fight. We won't know whether or not this is a $6 million fight until it's time for the boxing fans to pay for it. All the fight was worth, the most that the people at Top Rank were willing to stake on the fight, was $2 million, because George Kambosos, God bless him, ain't no high-profile guy. This ain't a high-profile fight.
You gonna pay through the nose to stage this thing?
Top Rank won't, but Triller did. Thus, the responsibility of selling this fight, it's up to them, in whatever manner, whatever fashion they decide to stage it. Though on the face of it, I can tell you that this doesn't look like a $6 million fight. I mean, how many of you boxing fans out there are really excited to see Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos Jr.? Excited enough that you're willing to pay $50
Are you?
to see the thing?
Are you excited?
Make no mistake. This was a win for young Teofimo Lopez. He did manage to get himself more money than what he would have got had he settled on Top Rank's offer. So this definitely was a win for Teofimo, but that may not be a win for Triller. Now Triller has got to ensure that they get back the $6 million they put into the pot for this fight.
Will they?
We won't know until we find out. You know, initially I thought that when Triller put all this money up for this fight to win the rights for it, I thought they intended to stage it as a main event of some kind, build a show around it, yet it seems that what Kavanaugh's got in mind is having this on the undercard of something else. And that really has my attention, because who puts up $6 million to win the rights for a co-main event? Who puts up $6 million to win the rights for what's supposed to be an undercard fight? You and I both know as boxing fans that this is not a high-profile fight, regardless of how much of Triller's own money they want to stake on it. This is not the kind of fight that is widely anticipated, highly anticipated by the boxing fans, the boxing community. This is your run-of-the-mill mandatory title defense by way of the IBF. Yet Triller felt so inclined to put down $6 million just to host this thing. And it seems like they want to host it as an undercard fight for something else. Per tweet from Mark Riamondi, Triller's Ryan Kavanaugh tells me that he sees Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos as probably a co-main event on a May card that would be paired with an influencer celebrity type.
Oh, so it's part of a circus fight.
What's this going to be the co-main to? Jerry Seinfeld versus a Bengal tiger?
Hulk Hogan versus irritable bowel syndrome.
It's ironic because I vaguely recall Teofimo Lopez being quite critical of these kinds of circus shows and novelty acts that have been entering into the world of boxing as of late. These influencers and YouTubers wanting to play boxer for a day. Not that long ago, it was Teofimo Lopez who was none too pleased with these developments. Yet now, he's not a part of the solution to this. He seems to be part of the problem.
He's set to be fighting on the same card as some of these guys.
I don't actually know why Ryan Kavanaugh and the people over there at Triller took such an interest in Lopez versus Kambosos Jr. because as far as fights in the sport of boxing go, this really isn't one of the big ones.
It's not.
I mean, I don't know why they felt so inclined to put up $6 million just to win the rights for this thing, but it has proven to be quite lucrative for Teofimo. It has. I mean, it is a win for him, but that does require some reconciliation. Why Lopez? Why this fight?
This is worth $6 million to you.
I mean, that's what's lost in translation, at least for me. Why did Triller want this fight in particular, so bad? I mean, you have to have wanted it pretty bad that you are willing to stake $6 million of your own dollars just to host this thing. This ain't worth that much to Top Rank, and this is their fighter we're talking about. And this ain't even worth that much to Matchroom.
But it's worth $6 million to Triller.
Am I the only one that thinks that's strange? The people in the know, the people in the business, they don't put the market value of this fight at $6 million, but Triller does.
What's your best fighter from your stable?
I think the question for me now is, look, we've seen a lot of fighters leave Top Rank over the years. Mikey Garcia was willing to lose 2.5 years of his prime in order to leave Top Rank. Mayweather left, Miguel Cotto left, Manny Pacquiao left, Terrence Crawford had issues. I mean, is this going to go south too with you too?
From what I'm hearing from the resources, Bob Arum just announced that to not expect the same pay when I come back from after this fight, and that if that's the case, then might as well buy yourself out. So it's crazy. This is just business, man. And if they can't take that and treat their fighters, or at least me, in a way of respect, then I'll find it somewhere else because I know what I'm worth. And I'm very happy and I'm very thankful. I'm hurt by it. My team is hurt by it. My father and my mother was crying about the whole situation with Top Rank, and
I don't think that Teofimo Lopez has been released from his contract just yet. I mean, I could be wrong, but it wouldn't make business sense to release him from his contract here and now when his endeavor has resulted in an additional $800,000 of pure profit to Top Rank. Bob Arum is a sharp pencil. Make no mistake. That's $800,000, almost $1 million due to Top Rank at no expense to them. That's pure profit. And that being said, I don't think Teofimo has been released from his contract just yet. I think what Bob is going to do is wait this out and see what it does. See what the actual market value of Teofimo Lopez is once it's time to pull everybody's wallets out and buy this goddamn fight, buy this goddamn card, whatever the hell is supposed to be on it.
I don't think they've dropped him just yet.
What Bob is saying in so many words is that unless the people at Top Rank feel a fight involving Teofimo Lopez is actually worth $6 million, $8 million, or $10 million, or whatever, unless they actually feel that a fight he's involved in is worth that amount of money, he can't expect that kind of a payout.
Not every single time.
Because I reiterate, this is not a $6 million fight. And just because the people at Triller have it to blow. Just because they're willing to stake that much of their own money in order to win the rights for this thing, that doesn't make it a $6 million fight. We don't know that this fight is a $6 million fight until it shows up in the receipts.
Then we'll know for sure.
If you want $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, whatever dollar amount you're looking for as a fighter, you've got to be good for it.
You do.
You have to justify the spending.
You do.
Triller's $6 million gamble on Lopez versus Kambosos Jr. doesn't mean that the fight is worth $6 million so much as they're willing to gamble.
They're willing to stake that much of their own money in order to get the fight.
But just because they're willing to stake that much of their own money in order to win the rights for the fight, and just because Teofimo Lopez is the beneficiary of this gamble, that doesn't necessarily mean that moving forward, every single fight will have that same payout. Not for Teofimo. It's got to be worth it. It's got to be worth it to Top Rank. It's got to be worth it to ESPN in order to justify the spending, justify the cost.
There's no such thing as a free lunch.
They're not going to pay Teofimo Lopez in excess of what a fight is worth. That's essentially what Bob Arum is saying. And if that's what Teofimo Lopez is expecting them to do, then he might as well have the people over there at Triller buy out his contract now, because that's not going to happen.
They're not going to pay you $6 million for a $2 million fight, because then they're in the hole $4 million.
I mean, are you guys understanding this? Are you guys processing what I'm telling you? They can't pay Teofimo $6 million flat every single time he fights unless he's good for it. If he's good for it, then they're happy to do it because then it's good business.
But if he ain't good for it, why would they do it?
And that's what has yet to be determined. The success or lack thereof of this card, of this event, whatever it turns out to be, will be the gauge, will be the barometer for what Teofimo Lopez's real market value is. Once this event is out there and the boxing fans or just whoever is tasked with purchasing it, whatever it is, that's what'll tell you what the goddamn fight is really worth.
And that's what'll tell you how Teofimo Lopez should be paid moving forward.
What kind of money can his fights generate? When he's out there, and the fight fans have got to flip the bill themselves, what kind of money does he bring you back?
Because you can't ask for 3 and only bring back 2.
Comprendo.
I'll tell you what I think. I suspect there was more collusion going on here than meets the eye, because there is that much more to reconcile now that some of the dust has settled. For some reason, Lopez versus Kambosos Jr. is worth $6 million to the people over there at Triller. It ain't worth that to Top Rank, and it ain't worth that to Matchroom, but for some reason, Triller feels so inclined to stake $6 million of their own money on this fight. For that reason, I think there's more going on here than meets the eye. I suspect that there was already collusion in play, not just between Teofimo Lopez and the people over there at Matchroom, but the people over there at Triller as well. Because Teofimo Lopez played this situation rather close to the chest in spite of Bob Arum's aversions, his own promoter.
How does Triller plan on getting their $6 million back?
Because this fight in and of itself may not even be worth $6 million in the open market.
Might not.
The average fight fan here stateside doesn't want to pay $50 to see Lopez versus Kambosos Jr. because that's not a high-profile fight, even at a price point of $50. That's $50 more than the average fight fan wants to pay to see this thing. Kavanaugh seems to want to stage this as part of a card, part of a card, perhaps a co-main. But who pays $6 million for the rights to a co-main event?
Is this going to be on the undercard of Tyson versus Holyfield 3?
I heard Lamar Odom's supposed to have some kind of fight coming up. Or is this going to be on the undercard of Mayweather Jr. versus Logan Paul? Ryan Kavanaugh, in so many words, has already communicated that he means to stage a card involving celebrities and influencers, personalities. It is that kind of irreverent situation, the kind of irreverent situation we've been seeing surfacing in the sport of boxing as of late. That is more or less what we can expect. But that still doesn't explain why Triller went as far as bidding so much just to have this fight be a part of that card.
Why would you want to be in the whole $6 million for this thing?
Even if you are staging one of those novelty cards, one of those, Mike Tyson versus 10 pounds of potato salad.
What?
Kind of fights, kind of novelty acts, kind of circus shows. Even if that's what you are doing, that still doesn't explain why you went as far as putting yourself in the whole $6 million just to stage this thing.
There are repercussions to be addressed.
I told you guys all in the build-up of this price bid. that momentary gratification could result in long-term repercussions for Teofimo Lopez moving forward because he ain't gonna be a lightweight forever. At some point, he's gonna move up to 140 pounds, and Top Rank has the inside track on all the belts in that division. What has this costed Teofimo Lopez? Because rest assured, it may have costed him something. There's no such thing as a free lunch.
Yeah, Bob made $800,000.
At no expense to Top Rank, but that was as a result of Teofimo Lopez being difficult. That was as a result of Teofimo Lopez pursuing more money than Top Rank was willing to stake on one of his fights. If he proves to be this difficult every single time he has a fight coming up moving forward...
He always wants more than a fight is actually worth.
I mean, it might have worked out for you this time. You might have lucked out this time. But what's going to happen when the day comes you've got to move up to 140 and you want to fight for a world title? There are questions that need answers, and only time will tell us those answers.
I suspect Teofimo's been colluding with Triller the whole time.
He ain't just been talking to Eddie behind closed doors. I think he's been talking to Ryan Kavanaugh as well.
But what's the end game here?
One thing's for sure, we're going to find out what this fight is really worth once it's time for the fight fans to pull out their wallets and bid on this thing. And based on that, whatever that number is, however big or small a success this upcoming Triller card is set to be, that's what will determine how Teofimo is paid moving forward.
Not Triller's $6 million gamble.
Whether or not that gamble actually pays off.